And boom! Hey up troops, A Littleton here again with another video. This time we're looking at Bank. However, it's the first time we're recording a video. Well, technically not the first time. The first time we're recording a defense setup video on CCTV. Bank's going to be reworked coming CCTV June 10th. So I thought we might as well do the setup on CCTV on the test server. So as you may notice, we've got a test server watermark up here. Don't want to ruin the illusion. We're also going to have a test server watermark in the game. You won't notice after a while. So if you're wondering what that is, it's because we're on the test server, because June 10th is still 12 or 13 days away or so. 12 days away. So yeah, if you're wondering what that is, that's what it is. We're going to look at Bank. We're going to look at all the rotates, reinforcements, head holes, feet holes that you need to know to set up all 4 sites, in my opinion, correctly. One thing I want to address straight away, and I say this in every video, or at least I'm going to from now on, these aren't Pro League setups, and I don't recommend that you follow some Pro League setups, because they're designed with certain operators doing certain jobs in certain places, certain head holes, feet holes, or angles in certain places. These setups are your most generic, ranked setups. They're going to work if you're in bronze, they're going to work if you're in champ. Sometimes there's a bit of sort of difference between the way people play the sites, but these will work for your general player. This isn't about, oh, I've made 4 holes and 4 different walls, so we've got one long line of sight angle onto one, but it isn't like that. It's your general setups that are going to work for everyone in every rank. With that said, I think that's enough waffling. Let's get stuck into it. Right, let's get started with the top floor though, although there is a sneaky set of speakers in this room, and it's this one I always find is what gets that music gone, so shoot the speaker. Right then, so we are here on Bank. I haven't made the head holes, so let's do that to begin with. And we're going to start at this end in CEO and work our way across the map and go through why we've got reinforcements and rotations, etc. in the places that we have. So the first place is the 2 reinforcements on the left-hand side CEO wall. I don't really need to go into a massive amount of detail, but remember, you can also shoot out the top of these walls and C4 over the top if you want to. We've then got just the left wall here and then head holes on the right side. This is to hold the door into square. If you reinforce both of these walls, the attackers can just... Hang on, let me show you. If you reinforce both of those walls, the attackers can just waltz into square here. They can just walk straight in. The only angle they have to worry about from here is this angle onto janitor here. If you've got these head holes, they're going to have problems. They're going to have to worry about problems. That was hard to get out. They're going to have to worry about problems coming through square, okay? I reinforced this wall because I sometimes like playing in janitor tight to this door here to hold here, and you can also hold into stock from here as well. I haven't made the feet holes for stock. Get rid of this plant pot and you can see through the feet holes better. And from this angle, you can also see if anyone jumps into stock as well. You'll see them cross this gap here. Something else to think about, I wouldn't do this straight away at the start of the round because you tend to want to play in janitor to begin with, but what tends to happen is you'll get attackers on these 4 windows, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what then happens is it sort of makes playing in CEO almost unplayable. So you would tend to sort of hide behind the bomb and take cover here. The problem is with that, obviously this door will be open, so then you tend to sort of retreat to janitor. Now what you don't want to do is reinforce all of these walls, because then they can just rappel straight into CEO and you can do nothing about it. So if they do end up on the windows, I would probably look at maybe sticking a head hole or 2 in here, and then at least you can hold the windows from back janitor maybe, from this sort of area. Whether I'd put one in the middle of the wall, I don't know, maybe I would. But you do want to be able to have something reinforced here so you can take cover and play onto the windows. Because if they just rappel on those 4 windows and you can't get them off the rappel from lobby, you're kind of stuck. So you do want to be able to fire back from here. Let's go through into the next reinforcement, which is this one here, and this is also so you can get a similar line of sight out onto square. And also if this breach gets opened, or if this gets opened, you can take cover behind here and play behind it. Also the windows, if they're not on these windows, if they're playing these windows, you can use this as cover for those windows. This isn't reinforced, they can just shoot from here, like being on these 2 windows here. You can just open and shoot through this wall and it completely cuts off most of the site. Then coming over into Trump. I still don't know why this is called Trump. If anyone knows, please let me know. I always thought that he looked like Trump, but he actually was nothing like Trump. We reinforced this wall for the same reason that we reinforced this wall for the windows. You can now play in here if you want to, hiding behind the window, hiding behind the reinforcement to play the windows. Just be careful of the west rappel, sorry. With people playing on rappel on these windows here. Now there have been these blinds added onto CCTV, so you can't quite get as good a view as you used to be able to out of those windows, which is great because if you're now playing here, you can't be seen from those windows anymore, whereas you used to be able to rappel all the way up to this area here, and you could just hold these areas. So you used to have to barricade all of these windows. Didn't really have to do that so much anymore, although you can still get the angle out there. So barricading a couple of these windows, especially these two, is a good idea. This one, that one, and that one. Then we've got a little rotate here, which I really, really like. It gives the attackers no benefit. Make sure you do it on the left-hand side of that wall. If you do it on the right-hand side of that wall, you can get an angle from here to top spiral banana stairs throughout to here. So do it on this side of the wall. And it just gives you an option. If someone say janitor, you don't have to go all the way out here and all the way down here to have a look. You can just bob out of here. You can also hold main stairs from here. You don't have to go all the way out to peek stock. You can peek it from a nice angle here. And also, if you're coming back into sight, if someone's at back of CEO and they know that you're about to come back into sight, they're going to be holding this door or this door. So to be able to just nip back in here and then appear here suddenly whilst they're watching this door, it's really going to be helpful. Over in meeting, oh yeah, you can also put a head hole here. I wouldn't recommend doing that. Oh, that picture's in the way. Can we move, please, picture? I wouldn't recommend doing this with an SMG-11, but you can also hold those same head holes at the back of CEO if you make your head holes in this wall as well. Let me show you. So if we do the same here, you can now also hold those head holes all the way back to square. This is best done with a DMR or an ACOG at least. Hopefully you don't have this picture just... Hey! There we go. So you can hold all the way back to square by doing that. You can then also use the sofa to do a similar sort of thing and peek from here onto square. Just watch the windows, obviously. The windows are an absolute nightmare. If you're playing against a good team and know to use these windows, they're an absolute nightmare because it really does render playing in this room quite difficult. We've got a little head hole here in the meeting wall to look over into stock. You can see through to stock there. And also over in stock, I haven't done it yet because not everyone does it, but I really recommend reinforcing this wall. And then what I recommend doing is, some people have said tell us which operators to play in some circumstances. Well, Azami or Frost is brilliant here, especially Frost. And what you do is you put your shield on this angle, on that angle there, and then you would put a frost mat under each window. And then what you would do is play here, hiding behind these desks. Get rid of this monitor, by the way, so you can see over it. Oh, I thought you could reach them. Get rid of those. Then you would play behind these desks with the frost mats there for anyone who jumps in. And bear in mind your shield's on this angle here, so you stay crouched. And you've got protection from square as well. And then you can pop up, fight square, peek this side of the shield, and then come back to peek stock as well. Ideally, you want a WMI in there. Well, not a WMI, like, but WMI magnets or Jaeger ADSs to stop anything getting thrown in at you. Yeah, really nice, fun place to play. This is a busy... You want someone who's a decent gunner here, because this is a busy place to play. There's a lot going on in terms of these two windows, and also anyone that comes up top main can just swing around that corner as well pretty easily. So it's a busy place to play, but it's a really fun place to play. If you like getting into gunfights, but you've got to have the discipline not to just walk up to these windows and go, oh, one square door, I'll just walk up here and have a look. You know, you can do this by all means, but there's always one little rat that's sitting... Always one little rat that's just sitting there waiting for you to peek these windows. So if you do want to play, it's a fun place to play, but you've got to be disciplined. Probably the most two important walls to reinforce are these two. This is called Kanto Wall. Kanto Racketti used to play here all the time when G2 played Bank. The reason it's so important to reinforce those is attackers will repel on this window, and they'll throw an Ace, Selma, or Habana pallets on this wall. And as soon as this wall's open, from that one repel spot over there, you can hold down all of this corridor, which is a massively important part of the map, because anyone coming up main can't go there. You can't rotate back around this corridor. If someone's in stock, you can't come here and peek stock because you're going to be getting shot from the window. So it's absolutely important that these get reinforced. And in my opinion, I think you should also bring a bandit here as well. It's quite difficult for the attackers to get the bandits' batteries off the wall here, because typically you're not going to have another attacker go over here and start EMPing this wall. So it can be a bit tricky for attackers to get the bandit batteries off. Of course, if you're on attack and you want to know how to do it, you could just come down to the front door here and then just launch a grenade up into that area, and that would get the batteries off. Alternatively, of course, you could just play on this window with someone who's got EMPs, and then they throw the EMPs and disappear. Bear in mind, Thatcher wouldn't be very good here because the Thatcher EMP doesn't explode on impact. The Thatcher EMP would hit that wall and drop to the floor. So it is quite tricky for attackers to start messing about getting the bandit batteries off this wall, but but it's important. A good place to play in terms of anchor spots. This looks so good in here in Siege X, man. Is in here, is in the elevator here. You can even put a shield just out, sort of. Don't put a shield on the door, so you have to vault over it to get out. Put it a bit further down. You can peek either side of it. Great place to play, and also can hold down arguably the most important corridor in the map. Just bear in mind, if this wall gets open, it's down to you to sort of fight the rappel. Again, don't die too early. And that is top floor. There's a couple of things that's worth knowing for vertical. You can obviously see, I play Valk on this site most of the time, but there's loads of C4 from below spots. Like obviously all over square is completely C4able. Stock is completely C4able. And this is just open area below. You'll see through the hatch. Can't believe that didn't open. It's yeah, just open area below there, so all of this is C4able. I like putting a camera up in this corner here, and then just listen for the sound of if someone's in stock. Some people like do that. It's a bit year 1 season. Oh well, no, actually Valk wasn't out in year 1, but it's a bit year 2 season 2 or something. You can shoot out the top of the corner there and put a Valk camera so it sees both sides. It's a little bit obvious, but it does work well because you can see down the corridor and into stock as well. The only thing is, by the time the attackers get into stock here and start like droning and looking around, it's super obvious that it's up there. But that is top floor on Bank. Obviously, we've done it on Siege X. You've got all these new map ingredients to consider. If you're an attacker and you want to get past Jan door, but someone's holding it, don't worry, you can do that and dart past. There's there's a lot more fire extinguishers than I realised at first, but that's a pretty cool one as well. You could use that to get into meeting on attack, like you're here. Someone's holding you from stock, you can pop that and then run around. I think it's going to make some really interesting plays. There's another interesting one, and not there, missed that. Over at the back of CEO here, which I think is going to be utilised. You could pop, you can like nade that and then rappel in, or if you're on attack, or even if you're stuck on defence actually. Sometimes you'll like end up in this area here on defence, you could pop that, you're going to get stunned by it, but then you could run past and get away from those two windows as well. Interesting. I think it's going to make for some interesting plays with these map ingredients. But that's top floor on Bank. Moving on to Bank Basement then, and let's get started over on the server side of the map and work our way across. So, within server here, it's an important part of the map to hold on to, but not for too long. We'll talk about the hatch first. I've left the hatch soft, and the reason I've done that is twofold. One, if you're going to have a player who's dedicated to playing in server and defending server, how good do the live shadows look, by the way, just before I move on? It looks so cool. If you're going to have a player who's dedicated to defending server and stopping anyone coming down here or stopping anyone coming down blue, then you want to reinforce this hatch. If you are going to hold server just for a few minutes, stop a few drones coming through dirt, maybe just offer a bit of light resistance, cause them a few problems, delay them slightly, and then move back into sight, don't reinforce the hatch. Reason being, any roamer then above can open the hatch. I would even argue open it to begin with, but what you don't want is, I've had it myself in the past, is where an Ash player charges through electrical here, gets to middle square, and this hatch is already open. So, what I would say, I've only opened that just so I can drop down a bit faster. If you're playing in server and dedicated to playing in server, reinforce this hatch. If not, open this hatch, because undoubtedly the attackers will get control of this area. And then having this hatch open does mean that you can try and stop them from playing in here from these stairs above, or even just on square itself, but bottom square itself, sorry. But yeah, it's an interesting hatch that. It can be a tough one. I like playing smoke. Reinforce this hatch. Put a prox mine in dirt, but make sure you actually throw it in dirt, like in there, so you get the alert when the attacker gets here. And then put the other prox mine at the top of these stairs, behind the sofa, just here. They never find that there either. So you'll know once the attacker gets here, and then you just play on these stairs, so you can play both sides and stop them coming through dirt, stop them coming through blue, use your smokes to stop it. If this is the case, you've absolutely got to reinforce that hatch. And if you hear this hatch opening, you've got two choices. You can either just be aggressive and sort of, you know you're probably about to die, but you can stay here for as long as you can and delay them, try and get a pick or two. I mean, if you get 2 picks out of that situation, it'd be unreal. Or you can try and retreat back into side. Playing the smoke, it is nice to stay alive. Don't just waste your life. That's server, and we've only talked about one room, but it's an intricate area of the defense. Then we come into CCTV or security. Always reinforce this wall. This wall is up to you. You can make feet holes along here if you want to. And the reason you would do that is then anyone who's at the back of server here, you can see their feet from the rotate. So if I go back over to the rotate here and look over here, we can now see feet at the back of there, and they will not see us. Obviously, it's a bit dangerous to play here because they could just be firing through this wall and you might get caught off guard. bear in mind, if you had a mirror here, which is what most people play, you'd be able to see the feet over there. So either feet holes there, or you could reinforce it. I like the feet holes because I like seeing what's there. But bear in mind, if you do make feet holes, if they've got a book, obviously it's a lot easier for them to open that. Then we come to what's called red hole. It's called red hole because it's kind of red. And that really annoying fireball that you can hear, there's absolutely no way of stopping that. I work in this industry, like the fire protection, electronic security industry, and this sprinkler that's just constantly going is really triggering. Also, the fireball that you can't stop is annoying as well. Like, there's no break glasses anywhere to try and stop it that I've seen. Not in this corridor either. So yeah, annoying. But oh, that's the fire panel there. Oh, well, it's an electrical switchboard. The fire panel's probably... Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So, this is red. Now, why this is a tricky place to play is because of this hatch. Attackers can just drop this hatch and instantly be looking down red. So it's a tricky place to play, but it is one of the most important anchor spots. Let me just, in fact, before I talk about that, let me talk about the hatches, right? So hatch in security reinforced, hatch in red hole reinforced, hatch in elevator reinforced, and hatch in vault reinforced. Okay, right, back to red corridor. So yeah, important place to play here. Gold is a kind of place that it doesn't really hold much. You can hold towards where the hatch drop is here, but playing around here is what you'll see sort of Echoes and Maestros do when they want to be safe for being on the cameras. But yeah, red hole is one of the most important places to play in terms of stopping the plant going off on the default spot here. This is where obviously your smokes and C4s are going to come into use, and also playing the mirror there as well. Then we've got this wall here, which some people reinforce. I don't like doing. I like making head holes. The reason I do that is then if you're coming around to this area, you can hold towards that door or that default plant that's actually going to be there. If you reinforce both of those walls, the only way you can stop it is from this rotate or from this door. No one really plays in this area here anyway. You can play using this wall for cover if you want to and peek both sides. I really recommend you do this because it's a good way of stopping that default plant there. Then we've got this wall, which is an interesting wall because people like playing in two different ways. You can either reinforce it, or you can make head holes for garage. I wouldn't recommend making head holes all the way across because then you can still sort of play in this area here. If you make them all the way across, you're going to get if anyone's there, you can't stand here. Granted, it's soft, so they could just wall bang you, but they've got to know you're there to do that. So yeah, you either reinforce it or make the head holes to defend garage. Garage often gets overlooked, and it's an important area of the map because it's an area where attackers can just crouch walk and be very, very close to you quite quickly without you knowing. You've got to put like a bulletproof cam or a Maestro cam here to watch garage. I highly recommend having a garage player with a DMR. So an Aruni, a Tuberau, or anyone with a DMR, or I would say an ACOG as well, but a DMR is even better at this range. To be able to stop the push through garage. But then also using these head holes, you can use this head hole and this head hole, and now look at that default plant spot where people tuck in. You can stop that from there. You can also then swing wider with the DMR if you want to and see the side door as well. Really, really good place to play with the DMR if you're a decent shot with a DMR. Unfortunately, I am not. Then we move back into lockers. Now, we've made a big rotate here, but also some head... Well, it's higher than head holes there. Reason for this is you can then throw smokes from way back here over towards the server door. You've got to get the angle right. Probably do it being a little bit higher, to be honest. You've got to get the angle really right to make sure the smoke goes where you want it to, but you can just about get it to the default plan spot if you get the angle right from here. You could also sort of run close to here and throw a C4 over, although your C4 is probably going to land about here if you do that. In the back of lockers, we've got a reinforcement for main stairs, and you can peek onto main stairs from here. Then you've also got a rotator on this left side. The reason we do it on the left side and not the right is because otherwise you can get stopped going through that rotator all the way back. If they open server at the back of that wall, you make the rotator here, you can't go through here because you're going to get seen from here. Whereas put it on this side of the wall, you've got the bomb chassis as cover so you can get out and move around. If anyone drops vault hatch, it can always be problematic, but they are just penned in here from vault hatch. You've got a player who's playing in this neck of the woods here, and just hold them from vault hatch, although it is an annoying place to drop. But smoke is good here as well, because you can force them out of there by chucking a smoke there. I mean, smoke is just never a bad choice, especially on bank basement. Elevator hatch, obviously they can drop as well. You can smoke them out of there, but it's quite a big room. If your smoke lands here, you're going to be safe way over here. So don't just throw all your smokes in that area hoping to get them out of the way. It is a large area to play in, but I mean, someone here is also going to be pretty useful. But using the cams, this cam's good as well. Be able to know which hatches are open. Generally speaking, 99 times out of 10... Well, no, 99 times out of 10 has become like a... I don't say it as often as I used to, and people who first watch the videos now go, 99 times out of 10, do you mean 9 times out of 10? I first made that mistake about 4 years ago. No, wait, 3 years ago, and it just sort of stuck. I meant to say 99 times out of 100, and I said 99 times out of 10, and it just sort of stuck ever since. Other things to consider is aroma. You definitely need to have someone, in my humble opinion, upstairs, causing some delays, causing some problems for attackers. You can always come back down main stairs, generally speaking, if you're on top floor. It's just a bit of a night. Oh yeah, by the way, you can also shoot out these parts of the steps, and then you can drop down the steps. Oh, excuse me. Well, you can if you get rid of these. It used to be a lot easier than this. But if you want to be able to run down the stairs faster, if I just let me move these. You can get down the stairs a lot easier and a lot faster by just crouching down there and then coming down the stairs, as opposed to running all the way around. It's a lot easier to get down quickly like that. Especially in Siege X now, your momentum carries you down as well. Right then, that is Bank Basement. I don't think I've missed anything. There is a hold that I show where you can keep these hatches open and play upstairs in open area. That's on, if you search A Littleton Castle, there's a castle setup video that I did that shows that setup. Cade tricking this is helpful. Play behind the bomb, throw your cade claw here, then you can stand up and pick it back up again. Just be careful, you've got to be on this angle here. You can't be picking it up from here, because you're going to get domed from server. So make sure you're right behind the bomb, crouch, throw your cade claw. If you need your cade claw, stand up, pick it up, but make sure you're staying hidden from the door there. But keeping this hatch closed is generally a really good sign of a defensive hold, if you can keep it closed. If not, you can stop the plant, and you can still like do useful things to stop the plant going in. If anyone doesn't know, the plant happens here, generally speaking. This wall will get opened up, and the attackers can sort of like crouch in backwards and plant so that their back is covered by this wall here, which means that even if you're here, you're not going to be able to stop that plant. That's why we open up these kind of angles, because from here you can see that plant there, and you can see that plant there, and you can see the plant there, especially this one. Bank Basement, one of my favourite sites to defend, actually. Onto staff room and open area then, and this is an interesting one because it's one of the few sites on Bank where you need quite a few reinforcements, actually. This is much better than the site we'll talk about next over in Towers, because there's very little vert here. You can see there's a section of vert above this, which is the stock room above. If I just make a quick hole here, you'll see the stock windows. See that stock windows there? That's the stock room above. That's entirely the footprint of stock room. And that's the only bit where there's vert. Over in here, in kitchen, there's no vert whatsoever, because this is outside the map. This is like outside top square door, like the little balcony out there. Top square door actually starts just here, and this is all top square outside. So yeah, no vert here. So let's get started with reinforcements. Let's go and start over by electrical. So not everyone does this, and I don't always recommend that you do have to do this. It's not imperative. I like making this reinforcement here because you make feet holes along this wall, but what will happen is the attackers can sometimes get into like an angle like this and look through the feet holes, and if that's not reinforced, they can see from there like all the way through. So like look at the angle you need to be on the side of that door. You only need to see this little bit here. You're going to be able to go prone here and see a lot of the site. Now, it's something you should never really let happen. An attacker should never really get to be prone there. But if they do, they see a lot of the site. So I like reinforcing this, making feet holes there so you can see when they come into electrical. Once they get to this point, that's when they're going to be seen. Over here on the open area window, we've got feet holes to watch the jump in. And you definitely want to be putting like proxy mines or Fenrir traps on there. And you've got your feet holes there to watch from this angle if anyone jumps in. Pretty standard sort of setup there. Now you've got this wall, which is interesting because that one I think should be reinforced, but we haven't done the hatches yet, and that's another conversation we'll come to in a second. But should you reinforce this one? Possibly yes. I would maybe reinforce this over this one sometimes. Reason being is attackers can just fire through this wall at this angle. And I'll make the hole, but no, I'm not going to make the hole because then it'll ruin the setup. But what will happen is you can see from the window, you get to open sort of through this, and they can fire into this area. If this is reinforced, it's not possible. I do like reinforcing this sometimes. In fact, you know what? I'm going to reinforce it. So I'm going to recommend we leave at least one of the hatches soft. So that's what I would do personally, and then it doesn't give them the opportunity then to fire through that wall and get a lucky wall bang from someone who's playing here, getting smoked by the window. Over here in small office, we've got a rotate to go between sites. We've got a little head hole here, so you can watch those feet holes on a bit of a tighter angle. Rather than standing out here and watching the feet holes, you can just watch them from this angle here, which is a nice little angle to watch them from. Now, I've reinforced either side of the rotate here going into towers. Reason being is I don't like putting the rotate this side because it gives the attackers a really long angle into the office. I imagine there was a hole there, you can see pretty much all the small office. And it also means that you can hold this way through this rotate towards the Taller's door. You can see there, that's the Taller's door. You can hold the Taller's door from here. Not quite from here, but you get a nice angle on there if you wanted to. So I prefer doing the middle here. I've seen people put the rotate there, I've seen people put the rotate there. I don't think there's necessarily a right and wrong. Also, if you put the rotate this side, it gives them a bit of an angle from there. So I would either put it in the middle or on this side. I think the middle just suits me better personally. You've got to have somebody playing in tellers and playing in office here. You just have to. I would also make a rotate just here. Oh. Just here as well, to be able to get between. Otherwise, you've got to go all the way around to kitchen door or the rotate in the middle to get between the two sides. You've got to have somebody playing this area here who can then get easily into open area quite a lot faster. But yeah, definitely put that there. I would even possibly reinforce the one of the walls this side maybe. Just if you wanted a bit more protection from main stairs so people can't shoot through. Then, I just want to talk about upstairs very briefly. I've left both hatches soft. If you're going to reinforce one, I'd probably reinforce the stock hatch because this is going to be quite hard to hold. Or what I would do is, it depends how far away from site you want to be playing. A good option here is to do exactly what we talked about with the top floor hold, where you play a Zarmi or Frost with the shield here, and you just hold stock. And you'll hold stock for as long as you can, keep the hatch soft, or keep the hatch open. And then as and when you feel the pressure's getting a bit too much, you want to waste a minute, minute and a half, however long you want to waste, and then you can fall down the hatch and retreat back to site. I would also do exactly the same thing, and this is what I do when I play this site. I tend to play Legion. And play around this area here. And then what I'll do is I'll keep this hatch open in Janitor. And I'll make a little rotate over here too. I don't want to make this too big. Can I sneak through that? Yeah, I can. So I'd make that here. You've got to watch the skylight when you're coming through there. You can't be using this rotate in like the first minute and a half of the round because there will be some numpty just sitting on the skylight waiting for you to come through. But the whole point is you're just playing around CEO, shooting the speaker, shoot the speaker, get rid of that. And yeah, just playing around this area, using the hatch to your advantage if you need to, if anyone's going to be coming through this rotate, etc. You are going to get pushed here quite heavily from square. So do be careful. That's why Legion's good, because you can put like Legion goo mines here. So if anyone's coming towards this rotate without you knowing, you get an early warning because of the goo mine. But anyone with like proxies would be pretty good as well. Who's got does Alibi have proxies still? So like an Alibi up here with being able to make rotates with the bailiff and throw proxies around would be cool as well. If you are playing stock up here, you're going to have to reinforce that wall as well, otherwise you're going to get domed from square here through that wall. There's a lot of reinforcements that are needed on this site. So we talked about this rotating playing in towers. Now we're going to talk about back open area, which again is a pretty important place to play. Do not peek this window and give your life away, please. Everyone peeks this window trying to get a kill. The attackers are like 3 cars back, stood on something with a glass, and you're not going to win it with your SMG-11. So don't give a free kill to that window. This area is fairly important too. You've got to be super careful of lone. What people will do is, I'm not going to run all the, you know what, I will run all the way around. We're not in a rush, are we? What people will do, and I do this sometimes as well, is just run into lone, go over to the left-hand side of the wall, make a prone punch hole. You get like quite a nice angle through open area there. You can even see as far into kitchen door there. So just holding this door, waiting for someone to come down main stairs and rotate it back through open area. So just be careful of that. I've seen people reinforce those walls before, but I think if I had 15 reinforcements, maybe I'd do them. But I don't have 15 reinforcements, so it's a tough one. There's a lot of things to be needed to reinforce, in my opinion. I've also seen people reinforce this wall and make a rotate here, or even head holes here. Make a rotate here, and this reinforcement, and you can hold kitchen door from here then as well. Peek both sides, and then all the feet holes here. Just be careful, because you can get wall bang from there, which is why we reinforced this wall. This site is probably the strongest site on the map. Maybe downstairs is stronger, but this is up there. However, this is one of those sites, a bit like Bar Gaming on Chalet. where you've really got to know what you're doing to be able to play it well. Like you can easily come a cropper playing this map from an attacking team who know what they're doing. Also, I would look at opening the hatches for below as well, mainly so you can drop and come straight back up main if you need to. So if you're under pressure, you can drop there, and you can rotate straight back up main, and you can be then fighting onto open area door. You know, if there's someone putting pressure on you from here, and you're on this, you'd be behind this wall, you'll be able to drop and rotate straight back up main. Vice versa, the same here. If there's pressure coming through kitchen, through the quad wall here, you can drop here, and you can flank up blue as well. There's so many beepers on this map, isn't there? But just be wary of obviously the drop noise. When you drop, you always want to be firing your gun as you drop. So this is the drop noise. That noise. You want to be firing your gun as you... Can I get back on here? You want to fire your gun as you drop. And they don't know if that's a drop or a gunshot or whatever. So make sure you're using that. Because otherwise, if someone's on this kitchen door, you hear the drop here, it's going to be pretty obvious that you're on the flank. They'll just be holding the staircase. I really like this site. It's tricky to defend, but you've really got to know what you're doing. But once you've got the setup nailed down, it's really good. This is a nice place to play as well, if you're wondering. So, you used to be able to break them. Can you punch the legs out? Okay, I think... Am I wrong? Hang on, let me just... No bullet hole there. They are wall bangable. I'm sure you used to be able to punch these chairs out. Anyway, this is a nice place to play. You can hold the kitchen door from behind the bomb, then you can turn around and hold the walk-in for people's feet there. And also hold open area. But just be careful here, because this is that long angle we just looked at from that punch hole, which is there. You see the punch hole down there? You just got to be careful around this area. This is a nice place to play. A lot of people play mute and just play shotgun here. So if this wall gets open, they'll play shotgun. Or anyone coming through this door play shotgun. Yeah, really nice. I quite like the site. There's a lot of contention on where to use those reinforcements, because I've just mentioned about 14 reinforcement spots. Unfortunately, we only get 10, so choose them wisely. Finally, we come on to tellers and archives, and we're going to start the setup for this upstairs. So, I can summarize upstairs without spending too long on it, in the sense that you want to defend it almost exactly like you would when you're defending top floor on bank. So the setup is almost exactly the same. The head holes along here, the reinforcement here, the reinforcement of these two walls, the janitor rotate, the reinforcement of this wall, the reinforcement of this wall with the head hole here, and then the head hole here to be able to look into square from... Oh, the picture has surfaced again. I don't believe it. That'll do. You can see into square from there. So almost exactly, well, in fact, it is exactly the same. I would also make the same head holes here to look into stock, and I would also make the same rotate here into Jan, and the same rotate that we've already spotted here. So it's essentially, there's exactly the same setup. You could even do the rotate here near Kanto if you wanted to, that we did before. Same setup again for stock. We've got this reinforced, we've got the feet holes. You want to play your shield across here. You want to play Frost or Azami, depending on who you want to play. And yeah, that's it. You want to stop people getting into CEO, into meeting, and into... I don't actually know what this room's called. What's this room called? I don't know what I call this, you know. You just say B-bomb, don't you? That's A-bomb there, and then B-bomb's in here. I don't actually know what the name for this room is, thinking about it. This is Trump, that's CEO. I don't know what you call it. Double windows, don't know. Anyway, so the idea is you hold on to this area for as long as you can. You could make an argument to say you want to reinforce this off when you're defending this side, because it gives you a bit more of a sort of contained area to not have to worry about square as well. So if you wanted to reinforce that off, I wouldn't hate you for it. I don't think you're a million miles away. But what you do want to have open is this hatch. And the reason you want this hatch open is so if you get too pressured above, you can come below and come back into sight through the rotate, which is the same rotate as what we made when we were defending here an open area. Now, you can't just drop this hatch willy-nilly, because more often than not, you're going to have someone who's going to try and get into open area on attack, probably through this window. Depending on the reinforcements that you use, I'd perhaps look at reinforcing this wall as well, because this helps you hold on to open area a lot easier. That is the top floor that you want to look after there. Downstairs, you've got to have somebody in open area. You've got to have somebody holding this and somebody holding this. This is probably going to need to be a trap operator. An Ella, a Fenrir, a Legion, someone like that. Capcan maybe, although they're a bit obvious these days. Well, they always have been obvious, but people still walk in them, including me. But yeah, you want a trap operator here, because they have 3 directions to look potentially into sight if you start losing man advantage and back towards main lobby. But they're always back into sight, so this rotate here, obviously, rather than going all the way around. In sight is not a fun place to play on this site, depending what happens upstairs. If you lose upstairs, the reason this side's not very good is because upstairs, This is back CEO. This is the room that I couldn't remember the name of, embarrassingly, just then. It's not a fun place to be because all of this is soft. You can make vert everywhere. There's nowhere to hide in sight at all. It's not a fun place to be. We make rotates on either end of this wall. Just be careful when you're using this rotate because this door looks into main lobby. You can obviously hide behind this cabinet, but just be careful of the west repels. Also be careful of lobby. Reinforce these two walls. You want to make a rotate on the right side here and maybe reinforce this one as well if you have a spare rotate, because you don't want to have somebody just standing on the bottom of main stairs here just shooting through. So if you've got a spare reinforcement, do that as well. You've got to hold front desk a little bit because you can't just have people wandering into front lobby. But then you also, I mean, if I had to name a split, I would have 2 upstairs, 1 on the front desk, 1 in towers, and 1 in open area. The guy in towers is just holding anyone pushing up from blue or holding anyone pushing into electrical. By the way, if you want a nice angle for electrical, I do this when I'm defending top floor because people rush through electrical sometimes. Shoot the top of that plant out, go behind this shelf and shoot out this paper. Then you can hold electrical on a nice long angle. I do that a lot when I'm defending top floor, as I say, because people just rush electrical for some reason. So yeah, that's what I would do here. It's not a very good site, guys, if I'm honest with you. There's no reason, in my opinion, to play this over open area. Open area is a little bit trickier to play. So this is easier to play, but it's not a very good site. Like, it's easier to know what to do, but it's not a very good site. This is harder to know what to do, but once you know what to do, it's a way better site than over there because the amount of vert that you don't give the attackers because of the map layout. So yeah, that's towers and archives. In my opinion, don't play the other one first, but that's the way I set it up if I do. So there we have it. There's the bank setups for 2025. First setup video on CGX. And I just want to say, do you not think Bank's overhated? I think Bank is a really solid map, but for some reason it gets banned quite a lot and people don't like playing Bank. I quite like it. Looking forward to seeing how those fire extinguishers are going to play into Bank, because I feel like there's quite a few on this map. But cheers for watching as always. Don't forget what I want to try and say at the end of the video, and I forget to say to somehow, I don't know how, by the grace of God, I've got a charm in the game. And all you got to do is sub on Twitch once, and you get my charm. You can use it on your gun forever. You only have to sub once on Twitch. Also, the benefit of that, you get an extra 0.2 on your KD, and you run into less cheaters by using my charm. That is a non-confirmed fact. Thanks as always for watching the video. Do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and all the stuff that helps me out on YouTube, and I'll see you on the next one. All the very best.